The Luke Evangelista contract negotiations drag on. Today, we'll discuss what happens if Luke and the Predators can't reach a deal. We're going to talk roster changes and rights on today's Locked On Predators podcast.
You're Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Predators podcast. We thank you for making us your first listen of the day. We are, of course, your free daily Nashville Predators podcast. We're a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to kick off our Tuesday shouting out our Locked On Predators insiders and our everydayers who tune in to talk Nashville Predators hockey with us. I'm Ann Kimmel. I am a writer and co-host with Penalty Box Radio and Friends. I have a partner in crime.
You do. I'm Emma Lingan, and I'm an NHL reporter and host for the Hockey News.
Well, I will take things we didn't think we'd be here for 800, Alex, but contract negotiations appear to be at an impasse as of the time of this recording between Barry Trotz and Luke Evangelista. Today, we are going to talk about what we know about the numbers, how his absence may be affecting training camp, and what the long-term outcomes could look like for both parties. All right, Emma, we tell the insiders all the time, like we don't necessarily always share our thoughts ahead of the podcast. We just go with the topics. But you and I were chit-chatting ahead of time. And Emma saw a side of Ann Friends that's basically feral. Because
I was going to say, I don't know that we were chit-chatting. I think Ann was chit-chatting very loudly, and I was listening.
Yeah, everybody hashtag pray for Emma, because poor Emma, as we were discussing this Luke Evangelista situation, I was saying, like, it's hard to know. And so we were talking about what we had each heard from different sources. And then all of a sudden, friends, I lost a little bit of my hockey Jesus about this whole situation. So I'm going to try to calm it down. We're going to be professional as best I can, but I'm a little feral over this one. Okay, so as of the time of this recording, everybody take a drink. Contract negotiations are ongoing, but basically stalled. What we know that the two sides have agreed on term. We're looking at a 2-year deal, but money is keeping them apart. Now, you may have seen a report saying that Luke Evangelista has left the country to train in Canada. See, I'm still so mad I can't even talk.
To
Canada. So he's in Canada. But friends, let's put the drama cauldrons away. Emma, talk us through gently in a voice much more calm than mine right now. What does it really mean that Luke Evangelista has flown off to Canada?
It means, where the heck else is he gonna go? Just sit in a hotel room in Nashville, like, while his agent and Barry Trotz work this out? I mean, this is so, again, the consequence of his going to Canada. I mean, the report might as well have been Luke Evangelista went grocery shopping today. Like, that is how inconsequential this is.
Yeah.
This is not without precedent. Literally right now, as we speak, Mason McTavish is doing the exact same thing in Anaheim. And he went back to skate with his junior team to stay in shape. 10 plus years ago, Ryan Ellis did the exact same thing, which, by the way, was the last time an Predators RFA standoff lasted into training camp. Normally these things get done pretty quickly here in Nashville, but not this one. And Ryan Ellis went back and skated with his junior team as well. And Luke is from Ontario, his junior team in Ontario. Look, he's got to keep skating and working out and staying in shape. He can't do it here in Nashville. He can't go to Milwaukee. where else is he going to go? Like, of course he's going to go back home. And can we also acknowledge he went to Toronto? He did not go to Siberia. Like, he can be back tomorrow. Like, it's not a big deal. So everyone just turn down the heat on the drama cauldron. This is very standard procedure for anyone in his position right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not like Luke can say, hey, let me grab a couple of my hockey buddies and we're going to go to this rink over in I don't know where and practice together. All of his hockey buddies are at training camp. So this is very typical for what they do. I agree with you. It sounds very dramatic, but he didn't go home by carrier pigeon. He'll just get on a plane and fly back. And by the time they print out the 214 pages of the contract on a printer, which I know they don't do, it's all email, but he'll be back. So let's not worry. Like, Luke has not fled the country. So it's okay. We're going to be okay. I am struggling not with Luke Evangelista's location, but Emma, the numbers that we are hearing, I have feelings. You may have noticed. I have feelings. So this was one of those situations where you almost don't know really what to think. Like, somebody is way off in left field, because this is not a contract that I think any of us thought money was going to be very far apart. I mean, the ballpark is not large, in this situation. This isn't, a veteran looking for a giant 8-year contract, 7-year contract. So the fact that the numbers are far apart and doesn't seem to be a lot of wiggle room made me think either Luke Evangelista is asking for an outrageous amount or Barry Trotz is trying to get a deal. And then we got just rumors, and again, unconfirmed reports, but tell us the numbers, Emma, because I can't even with this.
So what I will say, and this is a report that came from Elliot Friedman, and Elliot does not just say things.
He doesn't have a drama cauldron, Elliot Friedman.
No. And if he is speculating or postulating, he is very clear about that. But this is based on reports from his sources. And again, he does not just say things. He said during his most recent 32 Thoughts podcast that Evangelista's camp was using the contract that Jack Quinn got in Buffalo as kind of their baseline, that's what they were looking at, which, if you think about it, makes a lot of sense. If you take the dollars out of it for a second and just look at the two players.
Oh, girl.
Almost identical. They're same age, same kind of point production. I mean, so it's like, okay, that's reasonable. It's not like oh yeah, we're using the Leon Draisaitl contract as our starting point. Like, no, this is very reasonable. Now, you take that and then you look at what the Jack Quinn contract is. He was also an RFA. He got 2 years, $3.375 million AAV. Now, is that a slight overpay for a player of that caliber? Sure, of course it is, but it's not outrageous. And so to know that the reports are still out there that a sizable gap remains between what Evangelista is asking for and what the Predators are willing to give him. I mean, what is sizable? Because if we're arguing over $1 million or less, then what are we doing here?
What are we doing?
What are we doing? The hill we need to die on, Barry. Like, it's just pay the man. You've already decided it's only going to be for 2 years. It's not have a bad contract for 2 years. You've done it before. You signed Tommy Novak. You signed Tommy Novak to a bad contract for 3 years, and you managed to get rid of that one halfway through year one. So, just saying. Again, it would be a slight overpay, yes. But we know, like, if he's asking for the Jack Quinn contract, I think he is well within his right if that's the going rate on the market. And the Predators have the money to spend. They have, like, what, 9 million in cap space? I'm sorry,
Yes,
but
ma'am. Yes,
Barry,
ma'am.
Barry, you're not going to need that cap space at the deadline. You're not, like, one piece away
Oh my
at the
gosh.
trade deadline. So, like, this is not the hill that we need to be dying on, I don't think. But again, that's a tangent. To get back to the point of it, to say there's still a sizable gap in between what Luke is asking for and what the Predators are willing to give. To me, when I hear sizable, I feel like we're still, if these are the numbers, you've got to be at least $1 million off.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if you're only offering to pay Luke Evangelista $2 million, like, I don't know. Now, that is total speculation. I don't know. But I'm like, again, we know what he's asking for. So if the gap is that sizable, I have to imagine that's probably in the neighborhood of what you're willing to offer him. And it just doesn't make sense to me. I'm like, what are you trying to prove here? Like, what kind of precedent are you trying to set? Because this does not look good for the organization, because it's like, what, you only want to give out bad contracts to guys over 30? Like, that's what we're doing.
Come on.
We're not
Come
taking
on.
chances on the younger players. Yeah. I don't know.
Land that plane, girl. I'm so yes to what Emma said. If he is asking for 3.3, what is it, $75 million,
Bam.
is that an overpay? You know what? That is a contract based on potential. Sign the deal.
That's what they call the price of doing business. It's a slight overpay. The cap is also going up. Remember that?
Right.
The cap is going up. And next year, you're going to save about $5 million that you're currently paying one Matt Duchene to play for a different team.
It's like free money. You could pay Luke Evangelista.
Crazy.
Y'all. Emma, you have said it far more succinctly than I screeched it at you. Because
I try to turn down the heat on the drama cauldron and on Anne's temper for this, because it's...
I'm usually delightful, but the numbers have made me feral. Sign this person. Coming up, we're going to talk about the risks if you don't sign him, what it has cost the Predators already, and how do you come back from this? We're going to dive into that coming up. Today's episode's brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. The NFL season, it is here, friends, and FanDuel is making sure you are ready for kickoff with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. You'll love using FanDuel because it fits however you like to bet, whether it's those player props, building a same-game parlay, or jumping in live as the action unfolds. It makes every game that much more exciting, whether you're watching your favorite team or keeping up with that fantasy lineup. So, are you ready to play? Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. All right, Emma, thank you for being the voice of reason in this, because I cannot, for the life of me, figure out how somehow the line in the financial sand is A, with Luke Evangelista, B, on a 2-year deal, and C, are you kidding me? That's right. C is, are you kidding me? Again, friends, we are paying Matt Duchene $6.5 million not to show up. Pay Luke $3 million to arrive to training camp late. What are we doing? Like, in my mind,
I will say that C, the "are you kidding me" was a much more colorful phrase when we were talking about this off air. So just know, Anne is having a lot of feelings right now and processing them in real time. So very proud of you for doing the work here.
I love Jesus, but I swear a little over stuff like this. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are we doing? Like, in my mind, I'm like, that Luke Evangelista, bless. I know he doesn't like to read books, so maybe he's not great at mathing, and maybe he thinks $6 million or $5 million is an ask. And I just want to be like, okay, Luke, come on, buddy. But now I'm like, you look at the numbers on the contract that, who is it, Jack Quinn? Is that his name? Yeah, Jack Quinn has. You look at the stats, you might as well have the same person with worse hair. Give him a contract. There is no reason. And I just keep coming back to this. There is no reason that this has gone on this long. They had all summer to do a deal. There is nothing that should have stood in the way of this getting done. I understand, the rumors are that the term was a question and then they've narrowed it down to term. Friends, you should have started narrowing it down to term, like on his way out from locker room cleanout. What are you doing? And here we are. It is training camp time. And Emma, nobody benefits. Nobody really benefits with this going on like this. And I'm not sure if Barry Trotz is just trying to flex his GM muscles, and this is the situation he has with which to do it. But this is not the financial hill to die on. With $9 million in your back pocket, $5 million more coming in, not paying Matt Duchene next year, and the cap going up. The cost to this team this season, to this particular player, and to the franchise as a whole is so much more expensive than $3.375 million. This should have been done. Like, so done. So done. Anyway, it's been interesting to me, Emma. Of course, this is not, we've talked about wrap it up. We don't want this hanging over training camp. I will say that this has not been a verbal conversation that we've heard. Of course, the other players are certainly not going to talk about somebody else's business deal. They just don't do that. They don't weigh in on it. It's just not their business. And it's been good to see that the vibes at camp are still very focused. I think individually, this is a camp where individual players know I have to come in and I cannot have distractions. And so I think camp has run very well without Evangelista, but it leaves questions unanswered about this roster. And it leaves questions unanswered that are even more important than this season, because we've talked about this. Luke Evangelista, the now and the not yet. And if you don't sign him, when you will miss him is 2 seasons from now. What are we doing, Emma? What are we doing here?
Well, I will also just point out the whole idea of what you just said, that camp is still running smoothly. Life still goes on. That I'm sorry, and I mean no disrespect to Luke Evangelista. I love the boy. I basically raised him from birth. I was with the team when he came up as a rookie. I love him, but it's not like we're talking about Philip Forsberg here. Like, this team can function without him, and maybe that's the thought process from Barry Trotz. But still,
are you gonna go out and get a guy at Luke's age, with Luke's level of NHL experience? We don't, and look, I'm not saying that Luke Evangelista is the next Philip Forsberg, but I'm saying we see potential there. Are you going to go out and get another guy in that demographic for significantly less? Probably not. And yes, you can bring up a Matthew Wood or a Joachim Kimmel, and I guess they are the guys who may benefit from it. But I still don't think 2 years from now you have the same thing as far as experience in NHL and that kind of thing.
And 2 years from now, you're going to be having the same problem. Well, not 2 years, 3 years from now, you're going to be having the exact same problem with Joachim Kimmel and Matthew Wood. If you want to keep this cycle going, it's like, what about when it's their turn for a new contract? Are you just going to do this again and just like wait for whoever the next young kid is that you've drafted to come up and take their spot? Like, that's only going to work for so long. And so, eventually, and again, I am not saying that Luke Evangelista is the linchpin of this roster,
No.
but
If
again,
you
if he's asking for $3 and some odd million, just pay the man. Just pay him
what
for
are
2
you
years.
doing?
You've
For 2
already
years.
agreed on that part.
Yeah. And take the name out of it. Just, it's not Luke Evangelista. Take the name out of it. Just if you have a player who you saw be successful in your top 6 when given the opportunity, and everybody will say, well, he wasn't that great. He wasn't that great. When he played top minutes, he scored half of his points in 23 games last season. So there is potential there. I agree with you. I am not saying that this particular player is the missing link between us and the playoffs. I'm not saying that. I am saying if this is the level of player you are looking for, the price that he is asking is not ridiculous, and you are wasting time. You are wasting everybody's time not getting this deal done. You are not broke. You are not broke. And
Everybody's
I'm
getting
sorry.
a little preview of what I saw before we recorded.
I can't make it make sense.
I know.
Like I was like I didn't love the situation, but I'm like, maybe bless his heart, Luke is overreaching. If this is the number, is it an overpay? Yes. Would I sleep fine tonight? Sure would. As in keeper. No, I mean, like, what are you doing? This is a waste of time. I don't care if you like Luke Evangelista or not. If you are looking for a potential top 6 young player with a little bit of NHL experience, you would pay this price. You might overpay, but it's a 2-year deal. It's a 2-year deal. Stop wasting our time. It's getting, I'm revving up.
You feel better? And get that out of your system?
Oh,
I thought we had already gotten it out of your system beforehand. Apparently not. That's on
Emma
me. I
saw
need to
some
be a better
things.
therapist.
Emma saw
I
some
need to be a
things,
better
friends.
therapist. And how
Yeah.
does that make you feel?
And how does that let me tell you how it makes me honest to Pete, this actually makes me mad. And it's not because
Really?
look, and I'm with Emma, like Luke is a great guy, super fun, all that kind of stuff. Set that aside. There is no business reason. If this number right here is the number, what the heck are we doing? What are you doing? You're not broke. Okay. And yes, you have some young players coming up, and this season they can jump in the roster. But 2 seasons from now, 3 seasons from now, they aren't going to have the same level of experience as Luke Evangelista. And I sometimes think Barry Trotz feels like he can shop his way into the not yet. And
Part of
girl,
me genuinely wonders, and again, pure speculation on my part here, but part of me wonders, I'm like, is this Barry Trotz trying to make up for the major oopsie
yes,
that was the Tommy Novak contract? Is
yes.
this him being like, oh, aha, I learned my lesson with that one. Now I'm going to put my foot down and I'm going to stand my ground. This is the hill I'm going to die on because I already fooled me once. I gave out one horrible contract and I'm not going to do another. Again, that's just speculation on my part. If that is the case, then Barry, my guy, we need to move on. We need to grow up and
What are we doing?
sign the contract.
What are we
Bring
doing?
the boy back from Canada, or Canada, as you called it. Siberia, as some people.
Siberia. Bring him back from Siberia via carrier pigeon.
Yeah.
Land him at Bellevue, Ford Ice Center, Bellevue. You know what? Let's hope by the time this airs tomorrow, this is a done deal. And I'm gonna take a deep breath. We are coming.
Breathing.
We're gonna do some deep breathing. Coming up, we're gonna talk about what really could happen if this remains at an impasse. We've had some questions like, what happens if they don't sign the deal with Evangelista? What happens to him? We'll talk about that. And we'll also talk about tonight's preseason game against the Tampa Bay Lightning. Today's episode is brought to you by our great friends at Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts, Barry Trotz, or even what they're worth, whether it is 401ks, properties, or investments. And when you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money. It is an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy to use interface on your laptop or on your phone. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you have put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all of your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. So don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use our code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with our code LOCKEDONNHL. Yeah, Barry Trotz, how about some smart categorization of your spending? It's called Puckpedia. Pull it up on your browser.
Barry, if you need a discount code for Monarch Money,
we've got one.
rewind a few seconds.
Just go back. Monarch Money. I'm telling you, it's actually a great service. Okay. So people have said, like, what are the rules around what happens? Here is kind of just a framework so you have some idea of heaven help Anne's heart if this does not get resolved, not because I'm in love, but because I'm having palpitations due to anger. Here's what you need to know. First of all, Luke Evangelista can no longer be offer sheeted, not the other past tense that we struggled with the other time. You cannot do an offer sheet once the season starts. So that option is off the table. You could do, like, we've talked about this real quick, a sign and trade, where if you know there is a team that is like, look, it's not going well for you there, we would take this player in a trade and this is the ballpark of like what we would pay them, or you kind of like underhandedly have some idea of like the contract that would be acceptable. And so Nashville would then sign him to a deal and then immediately trade him. You can also just trade his rights and like not involve a contract. You can just trade his rights. Here is the part that I swear you all write it down. If this happens, this will be the happiest Ann Kimmel you will see after December 1st. Because do you know what happens if they don't get a deal done by December 1st? Do you know what happens? Luke Evangelista can't play the rest of the NHL season, friend. Can't play. What are we doing? I will lose my mind. This is all going to wrap up by tomorrow and Anne's going to feel better. But what are we doing? Like, this has to be resolved, Emma. Right?
You would think. I mean, I thought it would be resolved before now, and it hasn't been. So, hey, I don't know. Like,
that is a lose-lose situation if they don't get this done pretty darn quick. Like, we're already in that territory. It is only going to get worse if they don't get it done.
Yeah, I mean, they just did their first round of roster cuts from camp today. Those are the players, going back to their junior teams, and then a couple of amateur tryout agreements that they released. And so it's like now you've got 54 players in camp right now, but you still, like, it's getting smaller. Like, the group is getting smaller. You could argue maybe it's not a huge deal that Luke Evangelista has missed, the first part of camp. I mean, that's when you have the big group with as I was actually talking to a veteran NHLer for a different organization, and the way he described it was early camp is crazy. There's just kids flying around everywhere. And that's kind of true. Yeah. And so it's like, all right, you could argue like maybe it's not as big of a deal that he missed, the first few days of camp. But I mean, once we're getting into it here, I mean, it is going to be, consequential for him, for the team. Again, it just, I mean, if you're Barry Trotz, you can make the excuse about, well, the cap's going up and we're all just trying to figure it out right now. It's like, well, you know what? Jack Quinn and the Buffalo Sabres figured it out. So anytime now.
You can do it. If the Sabres figured it out, if they riddled it up and did the math and got it done, you have $9 million. What are you sitting on $9 million for? You are not one. First of all, you're not getting a $9 million player at the trade deadline, but you are not one piece away. And you need to, what are you doing? Anyway, it's going up again. We're back. Calming it down. Calming it down. There are young players that could step in, and we've talked about how impressed we've been with Matthew Wood. I think Cole O'Hara has been great. Joachim Kimmel has looked good. And so, of course, there are pieces that you could plug in there, and you want to get some of those guys some NHL ice time. But I also think if this doesn't get done, this is gonna go the way of the Yaroslav Askarov, the Igor Afanasyev, and not that they went on to be profoundly successful, but it just adds to the narrative of you discard younger players in a way. It's not a good look for the franchise. It's not a bad financial deal. If that is the number that is written on my Post-it note, that is not a bad deal. And this team right now, we don't need this. And the other thing is you need no animosity. Yes, you separate the locker room from the business side of this, but we're in ridiculous land. Population 1. I won't tell you who the mayor is. You can just figure it out from my face. Emma, you mentioned
Monarch Money's next customer.
Merry Christmas, Monarch Money. 50% off your first year. You mentioned they made some roster cuts. Hiroki Goisick, Victor Noringer, Alex Huang, Jakub Malota back to their respective CHL, USHL teams. The 2 players that were on the amateur tryouts have been released. You said 52 left on the roster tonight. Predators preseason game versus the Tampa Bay Lightning at Bridgestone Arena. Emma, of these 52 players left on the roster, who does Andrew Brunette need to get another good look at? And what should we be watching for in this preseason game?
I mean, it's hard with these preseason games. Like we said when they played Florida, a lot of the veterans don't travel. The real NHL talent, they don't travel. And so like this isn't going to be really a real tough matchup, like a realistic matchup for Nashville. I think, Nashville is going to have the upper hand in the sense that they are going to have all of their players at their disposal. Are we going to see them all? No. But I think, when you're looking at guys that you want to see more out of, it is the guys like we've talked about on defense, how much of a logjam there is back there. I mean, you need to see guys start setting themselves apart. Guys like, Adam Wilsby, I think, has already kind of done that, but guys like Spencer Stastny, for example. And then, in the forward group, again, this whole Evangelista thing really does kind of, makes potentially more spots available because you don't have Evangelista right now. Zach LaRue has not been skating. We have not been told why. And we also don't have Ozzy Weisblatt, or haven't had Ozzy Weisblatt for the first part of camp. So there's like now a little bit more question among the forward group right now. So that is guys like Matthew Wood, guys like Cole O'Hara. And I just think that there's some pieces for the NHL group. Those are some pieces that you want to get a little bit of a longer look at, but then also guys that are now going to be playing their first year in the AHL. Guys like Andrew Gibson, Joey Willis, Tanner Molendyke would technically fall into that category. But he hasn't been skating either. Austin Roost, he was in the AHL last year, but he was injured for most of the year. Same with Reed Schaefer. I mean, those are the guys you want to get maybe a little bit of a longer look at, just because you didn't get to see as much of them last year.
Yeah. And keep in mind that the coaching staff is not just looking for who are the players that we want to start in October, who is going to make the opening night roster. In their minds, they are also beginning to formulate the call up list, which of course will change as the AHL games take place. And, they kind of monitor how those players are doing, but they are getting an idea of who do we want to keep in the back of our mind if there is an injury and whatnot. So these games don't matter, except they do.
And I stand by that, because I have talked to a lot of, executives and coaches throughout my career, and they have all told me something along the lines of training camp is not to pick our roster. We pretty much go into camp knowing who our roster is for opening night. Training camp is it's making the list. Like you said, it's the next man up list. That's what this is for. So it's not as much about guys like obviously, Philip Forsberg does not have a darn thing to prove at training camp. Like, it's not a factor. But guys like, again, who would be on that next man up list, the Matthew Woods and the Andrew Gibsons, the Spencer Stastnys, the Cole O'Hara's, all of that. That's what training camp is for, is to make that list. Because that's the one where there is a little bit more wiggle room on. So that's what's more interesting. You don't watch training camp to watch the veterans. That's
no. Yeah.
It's
what you're going to get.
Yeah. It's for that group, that kind of like in the middle group, because quite frankly, you don't even watch training camp for the new, like the young prospects, like the kids who were just drafted, because they're not going to be making an impact with the team this year either. And that's fine. But it's like, that's okay, good. We got to look at them. We'll see them again next year. Like, that's kind of just how it is. But I mean, it's that kind of middle group that are like on the cusp, maybe that is who you should be looking at if you're watching training camp. Yeah. Because that's who the coaching staff's looking at the most.
That's what they're gauging. That's who they're measuring. Absolutely, they are. It's going to be an interesting game tonight. Again, like you mentioned, we don't know who yet we'll see on Tampa Bay's roster. Probably not. Their superstars are probably not flying up from Florida for this game. But, we'll keep you posted on rosters as they become available with the team. Of course, we will also keep you posted on the Luke Evangelista and Ann's blood pressure situation as that continues to unfold. Anyway.
If anyone has any deep breathing exercises they would like to share, please drop them in the comments. I can only do so much for Ann.
I'm like so good about this. I'm like, it's a business. But when this number, if this number is accurate and we're not doing it, what are we doing? But anyway,
just so everyone knows. Just so everyone knows, I had to be the one to break this news to Ann that this was the number that we were operating on. So I saw all of this. I saw her lose her hockey Jesus in real time. Let me tell you, you can't put that toothpaste back in the tube. It's out. And so
I took a verbal bullet for you all.
You all got a toned down version, if you can believe it. You got a toned down version.
It really was. I was mad.
News.
Like, I'm still a little mad, but I'm gonna regroup. I'm gonna hydrate.
Yeah, hydrate, deep breaths, maybe some gentle yoga, something.
I don't know. I've got a bad hip. I don't know that gentle yoga is gonna cut it. That may make everything worse. But again, stay tuned with Locked On Predators. You're either going to hear the news when it breaks, or you're going to hear me rant some more. And don't both just feel like a win on this Tuesday, friends.
Both are fantastic for content. I will say that. So either way, tune into Locked On Predators, because you're going to get I
will get it together. I will get it together by tomorrow's episode, everybody.
Great. I think you're doing great.
Compared to what you saw, I sure am. Anyway, before we log off and I get started again, Emma, let everyone know where they can find you and your work.
You can find me sending Anne an invoice for our therapy session, and booking Anne an appointment at a rage room. I feel like she could use that. You could also find me on social media at Emma_Lingan, and you can find my work at the Hockey News.
You can find me in that rage room working this off. That would be amazing. I would come out much better person than poor Emma found me today. You can find me on social media at AnnK_Mama on Ice. You can find my work with Penalty Box Radio as well. Friends, that is going to do it for a demure and a subtle and a calming Locked On Predators podcast. We thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. Go off and have a much calmer day than I have had. We will let you know how the game tonight goes on tomorrow's episode. We'll see you then.